I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is The Gloom, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha PACs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the glue in the gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Exclusively Eye Care, Major Team Mortgage, Liberty Core Real Estate, Avior Wealth Management, and Omaha Laser Dentistry. We appreciate their support. Yo, Gloom listeners, it's the Plague, and today I'm talking about getting your finances as fit as your physique. Our very own F3 Omaha brother Jean-Claude, aka Michael Pfluger at Avior Wealth Management, specializes in building personalized financial plans. He understands the journey you walk in life as a man of faith, safeguarding your family and creating a legacy. Jean-Claude is ready to help you plan your finances with intention so that you can live with purpose. And that's just the beginning when you work with the Avior Wealth team. Visit avior.com/F3. That's AVIOR.com/F3 and see how Michael can guide your financial journey today. Now let's get back to the gloom. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All
Do
right.
it. Have fun.
And we're live. Here we are. We're once again at the Nomad, bringing you another story from a high impact man. This time I've got Larry Legend on, and excited to just get his story. I know Larry knows me back from the days when my dad was coaching baseball in those tight baseball
bike
coach
shorts.
Yeah.
Sitting in the corner of the dugout. May have been a heater or two thrown in, but during the game. But yeah,
for sure. It's so funny just how small of a town Omaha is, and but I'm excited to get your story, man. So you were recently psych out at the Dune.
Yes.
So we'll talk all about that, but really the starting point, would love to just kind of hear how you got into F3, kind of that EH story.
Yeah.
And then Larry Legend, I'm assuming has something to do with basketball, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I gotta say, first time, long time listener.
Yeah.
Glad I could get into the program here.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you do for sharing our stories. I've just learned a ton about guys, and just appreciate, being able to tell who I am, as we have 3,000 some people in PaxNet now. So, and I'm kind of a siloed guy a little bit, but no. So my EH story kind of goes, I'd say I first learned about F3 through Brazilian and Nodos. I used to play in a golf league with those two, and would see kind of some videos and would ask them about it. And they were like, just show up and find out.
Yeah.
And then, had every excuse when they would, hey, you coming out? And I was like, let me get in shape first. Let me do this first. Let me do that. We would golf, then we would go to the bar. So that was the day after, was never going to happen.
Right.
So kind of let it go for a while. And then, unfortunately, I think as many people know, my brother and nephew passed away in September of 2021. That led to Farva, who was brother's best friend, coming out. Squeaky Clean had done like a memorial run, which is still going strong today. But Farva came out, and like he and I, ever since the last 4 years, we've gotten a lot closer. And then about 26 days later, Nugent passed, and he was also a good friend of mine. So, and then a couple months later, Sweet, jumped on the bandwagon at F3, and throughout, I think kind of that whole grieving experience, those two, I leaned on those two a lot to, just kind of, while it was my I guess, biological brother, you know, those two lost people that sometimes your best friend is closer than your biological siblings, and they know a little bit more. They do. So kind of leaned on those two a lot through the grieving process. Farva and my brother had started a basketball program for youth with Farva. And so I kind of took over coaching as they had a void to fill. And I would ask him.
Is that the shirt you're wearing there?
That's the whole reason I wore it today.
Yeah, love it.
So I would ask Farva random questions and he would just show up. And, the EH actually came, I think, about August of 22. He was getting ready to start some pop-ups for Catamount. And so he had reached out and said, hey, this is the first pop-up. You're going to show up. And I was like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, what have I got to lose? I was just, it was a tough place. I was struggling a little bit. Didn't really know what a sad clown was, but I think everyone could see it. And then, as fate would have it, Sweet texted me maybe a week later, and he's like, hey, there's a memorial run for your brother, and you're showing up, right? Yeah. I was like, well, sure. Like, I haven't ran forever. So that actually, it was a pretty, that's a tough first workout, I would say, for me. It was emotional. Didn't really know a lot about F3. Had just seen videos, new nicknames, new guys called each other stuff, but I learned a lot that Thursday, and is starting with the memorial run, and then just kind of took off from there. Yeah.
It's funny to hear, or not funny, but just hearing your side and remembering being on some text threads. Like, I think we've got Mark's brother coming out, and like just some excitement around getting you involved, and then just seeing you where you're at now. So Nugent, were you in that circle too? So you kind of knew him as well?
I was not in like the circle, like obviously Sweet Strangle, like those dudes were, lifelong. Nugent and I just kind of playing sports against each other growing up, always competed against each other. And then after high school, it was kind of as we were finishing up high school, we all happened to be at like the same party, and it was just like, this is the same group of dudes. They're just a different group. Why do we hate each other? And so it was kind of, and it was just kind of funny. Like once the high school stuff was done and we were all just like getting on with life, we just kind of became like a big group of friends and started to really, hang out a lot more with Nugent, Sweet, and just, do the dumb stuff we do as your 18 to 24-year-olds.
Sure.
And so it was some fun times. Definitely.
Yeah. As a West Side high school graduate, I always remember, like, for no apparent reason, right, not really thinking like I could ever get along with a guy from prep. And then you get older, you get out of high school, and you kind of start looking around, and you're like, these guys are actually really cool.
Yeah. It's funny. Like they like sports too. Like they like to be an idiot. Yeah. Like, wow, we have a lot in common.
Yeah. We make a lot of dumb decisions together.
Yeah. So it was fun once we kind of got past that. Like, it just led to a lot of fun.
Are you comfortable talking about, so how many siblings do you have?
So I'm one of three. I'm the middle. So, Mark was the oldest. And then I have a younger brother.
Okay. And how many age gap wise were you?
Mark and I were we were about 2.5 to 3. So we were pretty close. Yeah. And then my youngest brother is 6 years younger than me. So about 9 years younger than Mark. So they had a little bit more of a gap. So I kind of perfectly bridge as that middle child. Like, obviously, like Mark and I were close with a lot of things we like, golf, coaching, things like that. And then obviously had a lot of similarities with my younger brother. So
Are you comfortable talking us through that?
Absolutely.
So I would be curious. So this was like, he's on his way to a Husker game.
Yeah.
Right. And just like so sudden, right? It's not like you had any sort of time to prepare.
No, it was pretty, unexpected. Just, kind of waiting to get that text of, here I am at the Husker game with, Taylor. He always sent a picture of, the boys standing in their seats or doing something, so it was, and he was, we were together the night before. Like, it's just random how series of events. So September 3rd, my grandma actually turned 90.
Wow.
So, we had a nice big like family dinner at Casio's, whole family, extended cousins, everybody flew in. So it's like, what a send-off party, you know, like he got so much quality time in like that 3 to 4 hours of just
the night before.
Yeah. Just the night before, less than 12 hours before his passing. He's, you know, having a nice meal, aunts, uncles, cousins. Like, I mean, my dad's one of 8 big South Omaha Catholic families. So like we filled the place. And just, you know, so yeah, he was telling me that night how excited he was to go to the game. And my nephew was pretty excited, ready to, you know, just go. It's kind of like you know, in this state, if you grow up a Husker fan, it's like one of those rites of passage. You get to take your child to a Husker game. I mean, it kind of sucks because the kids now get cheated because the Huskers used to be really good. So it was like an honor to get to go to a game. Now it's just kind of like tickets are free. Let's go. But
you know, gosh, Cassio's. I haven't heard that name in a while in terms of restaurants. That's
still there.
An old gem, man. It's a classic. That and the other one I'm thinking of is like Caniglia's.
Yeah, that's not
there anymore. But man, so I didn't know that. That's actually like kind of thinking like God's timing, as weird as that sounds. Like
it is, and it took me a while to get to that point of like in the headspace to appreciate, you know, as luck would have it that night, like, my youngest brother used to live out of town. So he was in with his son, and all the grandkids wanted to sit by grandma, obviously, because grandma, you know, eat whatever, drink whatever. So at one point in time, my dad, my brother and I just looked around and we were like, we got nowhere to sit and eat. So we found a couple chairs in the corner and the three of us just kind of actually got like to have a meal. And like just hang out. And that's why I say it was like quality time because kids weren't interrupting us because grandma was just shoveling them with, you know, Shirley Temples, maraschino cherry, like all that stuff. So it was, you know, in perspective, looking back, I'm like, what a gift.
Yeah, man. I think, like grief or loss of a loved one is just this for all of us, right? There's really, it's just testing, you know, and I would be curious at that time, like, what did you turn to alcohol or did you kind of just isolate? How did that go?
You know, being the way they died, the only thing I could turn to was just stomach it, bury it, because there was business to be done.
Sure.
There was tasks to be done. You know, having a sister-in-law who, you know, I have 2 other nephews who they all lost a big piece of their puzzle. So it was kind of decided with my sister-in-law, she just pretty much gave power of everything to me. So whatever needs to be done, like you got to go through him. So it was coordinating like state troopers, Lancaster County attorney, the list goes on and on and on. So like right away, it's just business. Like,
you didn't have a chance.
I know. And, you know, that caught up pretty hardcore, its effects on me, but it was just like, what I got? It was just, I had a notebook and it was just constantly on the phone with, this person, then with that person, like going to talk to insurance companies. How do we get that process started? Notifying his employer, you know, just going through then, how do we file this? How do we file that? And it was just like, I just had like tunnel vision of, I have to do this. And it was just, you know, an evening text to my sister-in-law, hey, tomorrow I'll pick you up. We're going here, here, and here. You got to sign this, this, and that. I reviewed everything. Or, you know, do you want the email? Do you want the documents to review yourself? And it was just like every night it was something new, of like what to do. And then, you know, you get a lot of media wants to tell the story.
Sure.
And, you know, at a time like that, the last thing I wanted to do is talk in front of a camera. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, with that hour, I could have been here. I could have been there. I could have been doing something else. So it's always nice when you get a guy like Farva to just stand up and show that vulnerability to, you know, the public. Like how raw and real all of it was. So
because he spoke at the funeral, or
he spoke at the funeral as well. He gave some interviews and kind of was like did a lot of stuff online to post and, you know, bring awareness, which eternally grateful for a guy like that. There's probably a checklist of a million things he's done, and he's probably going to do a million more because that's how he is.
Well, now he's retired. So he's just, he just sits around and does.
Absolutely. So, but no, unexpected death. There's no playbook.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so much of our life, I feel like you kind of know what to expect, what to do next. And, you know, I've got a lawyer on this side, a lawyer on that side, crime scene investigator, this or that, like, trying to go to the DMV to total out the car. Like, there's just a list of things you have to do. And, you know, looking at it, like, these people meant no ill will. It's just timing is of the essence at this point. So I think, and I just couldn't focus on anything other than I had a job to do.
Yeah. And all the stuff of why did this happen and why now and what, you know, I think is just like you're saying, there were so many other things you had to do. It got stomached for
it just got kind of shoved down. Everything got pushed away. And you know, probably about 6 months after, you know, it all catches up. Like you can only push stuff down for so long. Well, there's going to be a leak, and that truly happened. I had panic attack. Probably I'd say about 3 in a week. And I'm not a guy I'm not anxious. I didn't know what was going on.
Heart attack.
Yeah. I just felt like I lost control. Everything was like just a blur, hearts pounding, like didn't know what was going on. So back to your original, like I have no idea why. I've never really thought about it, like why I didn't I enjoy cocktails. I enjoy to drink.
Yeah.
I think it was just like it wasn't in my purview.
Yeah.
Like nothing was.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate because I could have slipped pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I think I would have had every reason to.
Yeah.
But I just had somebody looking out for me.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I love it. You know, that's where a lot of times in, you know, AA or NA, you hear a guy will relapse when somebody close to them dies, or, you know, because it's just, you know, especially sudden death. And I would say any death is hard, but sometimes we get more planning and preparation, and you kind of know, right, if it's from a long time, you know, cancer or something like that, right? You kind of have more moments where you're like, okay, we should have the deep conversation or, well, so you go through all that. And then about a year later, you step into F3 on the day that we're doing a memorial run for your brother. So, man, do you remember anything from that morning? Or
first I remember weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like weird. I remember everything from that day, just the highs, the lows, sitting. Like I remember text sweet, like, what time do I show up?
Yeah.
Is there like stretching? You know, like just questions. Like I truly had no idea.
Yeah.
And I knew the area. I knew the Papillion area, and I was like, where do I go?
Yeah.
And he's just like, dude, just show up. You'll see people. And like, and I'm thankful. That's Sweet's personality.
Yeah.
And it just showing up, and I see a bunch of guys coming back from what I now know is a pre-run.
Yeah.
There's dogs, there's light up vests. And I'm like, I just have workout clothes on. Like, what am I doing?
I'm underdressed.
And then thankfully I see Sweet, I see Strangle there. And that's like calming. You know those guys. I know those guys. I've known them forever. They know me. And then like see another person. I see another. And it starts to get a little more like, I don't know. I thought it was like 10 dudes.
Yeah.
And then you just start to see more and more. And, you know, I always laugh. Farva and Sweet are two of the most introverted individuals I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And like the whole mission statement and things start, and I see Farva in a crowd talking like loud, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I've never, I can't, like, I could sit next to the dude for an hour and we would say nothing.
Yeah.
And be perfectly fine with it. But, no, I knew nothing about like the 6. I knew nothing about what we were doing, where we were going. I was not in shape at the time. So I definitely was the 6. I had, the first mile and a half, I was good. I kept up pretty well. Then I slowly started to go back. And like KOA and Firewalker came. We were on the trail. KOA and Firewalker come back and they start telling me stories of how they knew my brother, they knew my nephew.
Wow.
Like KOA had coached my oldest nephew in sports, and he's just talking about this stuff. And I was like, oh, these guys are really nice. Like,
yeah.
And then like somebody else would come back, and I was like, why are people coming back? Like, what? And I'm internally just like mad at myself. Like, you're walking, you're slowing everybody down.
Yeah.
And then just like somebody else comes back. Somebody else comes back. And like, you just sit there and I'm like, what are these dudes doing? Like, am I that pitiful? It come to find out afterwards, like I learned a lot. Like that is, it was awesome because like internally I'm like fighting myself. Like, how did you let yourself get to this point? Like, it's 3 miles. 5 years ago, this was like a warm up. You could do this easily. And then, and I must say that the Name-A-Rama was incredible just to see people names. The naming part was, I don't suggest going to that big of an event.
Yeah. Cause there were probably 50, 60 guys there. Or?
There was a lot.
Yeah. Cause that was the first year.
It was like the first big, like Squeaky did one like shortly after, but I think it was just more of the Sandlot. Yeah. He had just done it too.
It was the first like official organized.
Yeah. That Squeaky and Farva took off with.
Yeah.
So being in a circle that big for Name-A-Rama, like nobody in these wonderful gentlemen gave me no idea of like, hey, dude, you're going to get a nickname. You're going to do this. Like,
that's how it goes.
Yeah. So no warning, like be careful what you say, but I will give credit. I think it was Farva kind of steered me towards Larry Bird was my brother's favorite basketball player.
Okay.
So, I think Farva definitely steered that naming towards, because they had asked me a question about something and I was like, oh, the first Husker game was in Ireland. And I was like, well, they did an onside kick. I was like, my brother probably would have texted me. He said, this game sucks, and sent me a bunch of Larry Bird highlights on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And that, like, Farva just took that and luckily ran with it. So,
yeah.
I think I'm a pretty fortunate guy that I get a pretty impactful name.
Yeah, for sure. So. Man, thanks for unpacking that. I just, it's interesting because sometimes when you're in the mix, I think it's easy to forget what might have led up to a new guy showing up that first day, and I think hearing your story and just all of the stuff going on in your life, and then you show up and it's like this is a different experience. I would be curious, like, as you're thinking about, well, I guess first question I would have, did you, during that sort of grieving time when you were helping with all the preparations and stuff after your brother passed, did you work out at all, or you had just kind of, okay.
I did. Eventually, like when I had kind of the first panic attack or two, my wife was like, I think you should go to therapy. You got a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And never a person that struggled with mental health. Yeah. Very thankful and fortunate for that. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I should. And I should do all this. Like, I've got a lifetime of dealing with this ahead of me. That was kind of a big thing in working with a therapist, just like, what do you like? And I'm like this, I like that. And why don't you do that? Why don't you work out? It's like, you're right. Like, I do enjoy it. And it's a stress reliever. So yeah, I would actually get up in the morning. So getting up in the morning I wasn't worried about that because I would work out in the mornings. I have 2 kids. And so it was just easy. And then in the evenings I was helping coach basketball and helping my nephew's team and then helping my kids stuff. So I was like, I got to do it in the morning. And you do feel good. But there's highs and lows you go through. So
what was the process for you getting back into the shape that you're in now? Do you feel like, so you've been in F3 now for 3 years?
This September will be 3.
Yeah. So did you go to another workout on Friday, or did you took some time off? Or
I did not go Friday. I actually posted the following Monday at Octagon.
Okay. Nice.
Because at the time throughout all this time, we had sold our house. That was a time when you could make some good money, and moved in with my mom and dad. And we're like, we got in a couple bidding wars on houses, and it's like, we're going to move in with my mom and dad real quick. And they were fine with it. Loved the idea.
Yeah.
They've been empty nesters for so long. So I was kind of in that Sarpy Douglas border there over by Rotella's Bakery.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, and having somebody like Farva, like, and the minute I left that first workout, I still have all these documents. I have the email. Farva he gave me so much information of here's the schedule, here's what type of stuff it is. And, you know, it's really set like a good example for me of when somebody new comes, even before I was a side Q, like this is the way to do it. This is how you keep guys engaged. Yeah. And he just gave me every resource I could think of. So I was like, oh, that Octagon was like not even 5 minutes away. So I went there. I might have went, I don't know if it was that week, but sanitarium, I went because I knew those were, and it was asking like, where are you posting? Yeah. Or he would send me, and here's my schedule for the week of where I'm going.
Nice. That's helpful.
And then it was going to meeting like some of those Sarpy guys and knowing some of them even before that. So I was able to kind of pick up and go to a couple of different places, primarily Sarpy was really where I started posting and kind of started that journey. And then 2023 we built a house and moved into Gretna. And then, so it was nice because the people I had met some of the Gretna guys at other workouts. So and then living where I do, you've got Boundary Line and Dune in the neighborhood, so it was real easy to transition into kind of a different sector.
One, and I should know this, but I can't remember the timeline. We maybe didn't have those sites yet. Like I feel like we maybe launched those.
You had the Dune for sure.
Yeah, because you were the third site.
I was the third.
Okay. Yep. So
and then Boundary Line might have because they're on their third right now. So I think those were pretty new at the time.
That's awesome. So you got to move somewhere where it's close by, right?
Yeah. And then, you know, like Fancy Feast sprouted up, which isn't far. Mission Forge is over there. So moved to a good F3 location, I would say.
Did you so you went to Octagon? Did you ever make it to the Murph, or are you a Murph guy, or do you like coupons? Where
for a while I said no Murph.
Okay.
And then I do having a Murph site so close. Yeah. I will go Murph and try to do that. Yeah. Definitely still assisted pull-ups, but I'm getting my way. Yeah. I'm getting stronger. I kind of like it all. I don't love the running. Yeah. 100% running, but you know, that's just at one point in my life, I was a runner. I did several half marathons, a couple sprint triathlons. It's just now I have a background in research and kinesiology. So now I read way too many things about like, well, you run it, maybe you should add more strength. And I'm like, I should add more strength. Yeah. So I do like the coupon stuff, but you know, I'm just kind of, it's more anymore. It's about just being around the people. Like I'll figure it out. Like I do lift on my own. Yeah. It gets boring, but it's also just kind of my time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a similar rhythm where on my non F3 days, I lift. And then, you know, it's funny because at some point, hopefully we all realize like, it's not about the workout, right? You gain some physical strength and maybe get healthier. Which is all part of it, right? We all want to live longer, but I think the connections that you make, you know, when you read about this problem of male loneliness and sad clown syndrome, and you know, I would be curious, like, so you came in and you knew some guys, right? What was the process for getting to know other guys, or maybe even like when you moved, I guess might have been.
Yeah. Well, that's the crazy thing about this organization that I don't know why. You know, you just show up and nobody expects anything from you other than to put your best effort. Yeah. Like, you know, sometimes I see the phone ring or you get an email at work. You're like, oh, what does this person want? Or it's like, hey, can we meet for 15 minutes real quick? I'm like, what do they want? Yeah. You just kind of get in this cycle of, and maybe it's a mindset I personally need to change, but like, you kind of just sit there and you're like, oh, what do they want from me now? And maybe it's just being in leadership roles at work and having that, but like, early on, I was very skeptical to do anything. And I showed up for a while. And then being as that I did probably the dumbest thing you could do is go from not running to running at that sandlot that day. I ended up injuring my foot.
Oh,
I had
shoot.
plantar fasciitis. So after the launch of Catamount, I was there, I was doing stuff. And then after that, I had to, like, in the winter, I was like, I can't walk. Like, this is killing me. So I took some time off, tried to figure it out, would post again, and then it would go back to hurting. And it was just like impeding my like daily activities. So I was like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And around that time, it was kind of funny. We had done like a Gross High basketball reunion, and Chaplain Swiper was there. And he popped by. He's like, why aren't you posting anymore? I haven't seen you. And I was like, well, I got hurt. And he's like, well, show up. And I was just like, I remember like in the moment, like looking at him like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, show up when I'm not going to work out. Like, why? And, you know, I'm kind of laughing because he's right. Like, in that once I started to feel better, it was immediately, I was like, that's what I missed. Like, I'm from Omaha. I have a huge network of people in this town, but like, and I have some best friends since I was, 4 years old but like, we're busy. And so that's, to me, it was like, I realized in that time off, I was like, I just miss it. Like, you just miss that. And then, the other part is, I love that Sarpy did the silo day of try to bust out of your silos. Yeah. Fundamentally, I love that idea, but I also kind of, on the other side, and I was just talking about this last week, was I like that small knit community of you have the same kind of core guys that are in the same community. You understand, like, you may know somebody that's a sad clown that you guys can hit from multiple angles. Yeah. So I kind of, I like that. Because that is, I feel like in the Gretna area, in the West sector, we have several kind of really good groups of guys that are just, they're there. It's like we say, that 2 a.m. friend, like you need something or something needs to be done. Somebody's dropping and we'll do it. And it's just, to me, it's still, I love it. Like, it's a group that expects nothing. Yeah. Like, you just show up and be you, and we'll take you exactly how you are. And if you want to get somewhere else, there's options to accelerate and to do that. Yeah. And it's amazing. And I just laugh because when people like make fun of it, I'm like, you'll understand one day.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And there truly is something magical about going through the physical challenge, right? Or just being a part of that, right? It's like we were both just doing whatever stupid thing the queue asked us to do for the last, 35, 40 minutes. And so then it just opens that door for more conversation. I would be curious, like, one of the things that keeps coming up in the whetstone is this, like, shield locks and whetstone relationships. And just like, we struggle as men to formalize it. I don't know, but have you formed a shield lock, or are you doing any of that stuff?
Not an official.
Okay.
And it's funny. So, I talked about this at the Flag Pass, and it was such an honor to be able to give it to Hazel, because I started showing up to the Dune, being so close. I would run there because it's literally 3 blocks away, maybe. So I would show up, I would run to the site, do the workout, and then usually run home. And just one day, it ended up Hazel he's one of my best friends is Hazel's client.
Oh, okay.
And we had put it together that we both knew him. And at the end of the workout, he just said, hey man, we do this rucking thing. Just grab some weights, throw them in a backpack. Yeah. Show up at 5 if you want next week and join us. And I kind of was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, and it was really like, from that moment on, I just feel like my relationship started to accelerate. That's and cool. Like on the shield lock thing, like that was Peg Leg, Hazel, myself, a couple others, but like the consistent 3 were always Peg Leg, Hazel, and I. And from that, like I've gained 2 incredible human beings to be around, to bounce stuff off of, whether it's parenting stuff, work stuff, life things. But it's like an informal shield lock, but it in every sense of the meaning it is. And I've toyed after hearing you talk, on the Whetstone podcast, and even with guys here, like asking that, and I'm like, man, it's kind of afraid to put a label on it, because I don't want to ruin what we have. It's such a good thing. And it's like, if you
Yeah.
formalize it, does it stay that way?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's like dating, right? You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah. I just recently got into a new shieldlock, and it's sort of been like, well, what do we do? What do we do differently that we weren't already doing? And the cool thing is there isn't really a playbook. And I think one thing I would encourage you on, right, is just take time to ask, like, nudge a little bit deeper, right?
Mhm.
Ask the question of like, how are things going with your wife?
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that, I've got Speed Bump and Stripes, and those guys, like, most of the time people will ask questions and things will come up. But if you're
Mhm.
like, asking a specific question about like, how's that thing with your wife going, or how's that thing,
Yeah.
and that has been helpful. And I think that's just a tiny shift that
Mhm.
makes all the difference. Cause now I know I've got some guys that are going to ask me about that. It
Yeah.
adds another layer of accountability. But
No, I appreciate that advice,
it,
because that's
yeah,
great.
well, but it's just so cool to have guys now that you can have that conversation with.
Right.
The other question I would have for you, and I don't know, when we think about are you a Q source guy? Do you do much Q source? Have you read much?
I haven't read much
Okay.
yet, but the Village has Tuesdays has Q source up there, so I popped in for some conversations there when I can. So
well, the kind of where I was going is the Concentrica to me has been the most helpful. But you organize your relationships in those concentric circles. And so I was curious, when you think about fellowship, it's not just the relationships in F3, right? It's some of those relationships. But have you seen any impact on the relationship with your wife or with your kids as you've been getting into F3 more?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
It's just funny, like, whether it's a conversation on a pre-ruck, pre-run, pre-something, or being next to a guy in the gloom, or even coffee, or even that day's COT. Sometimes lightning strikes for you, and I go home and I'll usually blab my wife's ear off, because dude, I've been up for 2 hours, she's been up for 2 minutes, and of course I'm annoying the living life out of her. But I'm just like, I heard this, and it has come. Or sometimes I'll do something, as parents, stress happens, you lose your cool, you come home from work, and something at work you essentially carry into your parental life, and you blend it all. And she'll just put me in my place and be like, what would your F3 guys say about that?
Oh wow.
And I'm just like, oh, she knows that's like the dagger. And but I love her for it, because she'll just call me. And like, my kids don't really understand, they're starting to realize what that means. But there's been times where she's just like, well, that conversation with your daughter, like, if you played that in front of one of your F3 guys, what would they think of you saying that? And I was like, well, they probably would have been like, why'd you lose your cool so quick? So,
oh man,
so she does kind of.
I'm glad my wife doesn't ask me that.
And part of it's my word vomit to her, but she will put some checks on me. But I feel like it's kind of strengthened our relationship, because I just, like I said, I get the privilege of listening to this podcast and your Whetstone, and I truly do. I kind of come into it with not what can I get out of it, but how can I implement something I got today? How can I implement something into my life? And I think it's improved our conversations, our understandings of each other, and me just being more, just kind of more understanding, like, what do you need from me? Like, at this point in time, like, and we've had some of those conversations, like, over the summer, we were randomly doing something, or we were on a walk in the neighborhood, and I was like, what am I not doing?
Oh yeah.
And it was great, because she was like, well, actually, like, you need to be more patient with our 8-year-old. She's 8. Like, she may be mature, but like, and it was really funny, because Speed Bump had just queued, like, within a 2 or 3 week time. And part of his COT was talking about how his wife was like, you need to be a little more patient with our kids. You need to give them a little flexibility. And I was like, oh my Lord. Like, and so I was like, great. Like, and so I do feel like it's improved, like, just me at home in general, how I approach, situations that don't always go our way at home. And it's like, do I need to kind of blow up and do that? Or do I need to, like, take a minute and be like, that's an 8-year-old, or just like, how can I calmly approach the situation.
Yeah, man, it never fails. I had one the other day. I had kind of lost my cool. I was telling the guys about it, and they're like, well, don't you think your wife is stressed about the thing you told us she was going through last week? And I'm like, oh, like it just was sort of like this moment of like, yep. So then, went home and immediately apologized. Right. But what, tell me about your kids. You have 2 kids.
Yeah, I have 2 girls, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Okay. So have they been to any of the 2.0 stuff?
My oldest has. My youngest, it was on her summer bucket list to go.
Okay.
We were out of town for 2.0 workouts. And the other one, she's a sleeper. And she was like, I'm not getting up, Dad.
Yeah.
So, but no, my oldest came out to one, and that's like her claim to fame is she's like, oh, I went.
She get a cool name or?
Yeah, she likes softball. So her name is Peaches because Peaches James was a very, really good softball player in Nebraska when I was growing up. And so, is
there in a league of their own? I feel like there's
the Rockford Peaches.
The Rockford Peaches, yeah. Okay.
Yep. So no, she loved it, and we were kind of leaving, and she's like, I get why you do this. It's fun to hang out with friends. And I was like, yeah.
That's cool.
Dad goes to recess every day.
Yeah. I used to bring my oldest is 10 now, but when she was younger, I brought her a few times, and then one year on Father's Day, she just said, is it okay if I don't go? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's fine. I normally end up carrying her the whole time anyway, but she hasn't been back. I should ask her now that she's older if she wants to go.
No, I told them if they go in October, Crab Cakes does the pumpkin one. So I was like, you guys can grab a pumpkin. And so they both got it like in their heads. They're going.
Which is crazy how it's almost, I think I just saw something the other day that because Val's is open longer hours this year. Oh man. Yeah. It's wild. Hey, are you the type of guy that likes to get up early in the winter to battle your jester? Do you love listening to people drone on and on and on about COVID in the gloom? Would you trust your vision to a guy nicknamed Cataracts? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, fellas, you have bigger problems than you think. Dr. Cataracts, aka Dr. Wolf, can't solve all of your problems, but he can certainly help you solve the problems related to your eye health and vision. You will find many F3 principles throughout his practice. Check him out today at Exclusively Eye Care. Well, and hearing all of this, right, I think clearly this is a spiritual journey that we're on, right? And so I guess I would be curious to hear your experience, kind of what was faith like growing up. I imagine it was part of it, but would also love if you would hit on like this moment where you lose your brother and kind of that, like how that maybe impacted.
So faith growing up was raised Catholic. It was went to church every Sunday, and then we would stop by the cemetery after church every Sunday because I actually have a sister that was older than me who died of SIDS, sudden infant death, when she was a month old. So so we would stop, see my parents would, pick weeds around the graves, put flowers down on special stuff. So visit grandparents. They're all grandparents and sisters' graves are all pretty close.
Okay.
So that was our Sunday ritual routine. I went to religious education classes on Wednesday nights, and did all that stuff, went to a Catholic high school. And it's kind of funny, like never really understood why, why we went every Sunday. Even in high school, I taught Sunday school with a couple buddies. They were West Side guys that their service projects. So, so it was like kind of like, hey, why don't we all go do this together? Yeah. Even in college, I would go a little bit. And then, of course, had the kind of college fallout.
Yeah.
But kind of picked back up. Then, baptized both of our kids. I think baptism is a very special, extremely important thing to bless our children with. And, kind of my wife and I just kind of fell where we felt our views and what we believed in was kind of different from the Catholic Church. And that was very interesting because, again, my dad is one of 8 that all went to Catholic everything. My wife, all Catholic, both sides of her family, big family. And it was weird to think of not being Catholic and not associating as a Catholic. And actually kind of it was around that time my older brother started getting really serious with his wife and had talked to me about this new church that they found because she was raised one way, he was raised a different.
Yeah.
And church is very important to his wife, and she was like, we need to find something together. And he found this church, and this is a really, like, it's cool. Like, it's different. It's more non-denominational Christian. And I was just kind of like, oh, and and it's like just one of those things where I was like, it's one of like my probably things I look up to him most of, like, he broke the mold. And was like, this is my faith. This is where I want to have my kids. This is where I want to be. And it kind of paved a path for my wife and I, and he invited us to join him a couple times, and we would go. We really enjoyed it. We actually joined that church. They had, it was Calvary Christian Church.
Oh yeah.
They had like a campus that it's now closed, but it was at the Nebraska Christian College. But that kind of, we had, kind of moved that way. Our kids went to a Bible-based daycare before they were in school age. So faith was extremely important. And then when my brother passed, it's kind of like my struggles and like where Christ fit in. And like, of course I was angry. Of course I was mad. And I kind of just stepped back. And while we were planning funeral stuff, my sister really, we kind of took different paths. She went all in and really relied on her faith. And she, not that she doesn't struggle, but she's in such a great place. And she just basically surrendered to God. Probably one of the like most amazing things I've seen. And still lives that way almost 4 years later. And it's just incredible. I have jealousy towards it, but like I went the other way and I was like, I'm done. I need a break. Like I've always believed in God and there is a higher being. Like we are not here for ourselves. And I took a break from kind of like religion and church, and would kind of dip my toes in the water every now and again and then come back out and back in, back out, back in, back out. And then probably one of the best things about F3 is I carried all this guilt. Like, I don't know, we called it Catholic guilt. But I carried all this guilt of like, I wasn't going to church. I wasn't like providing my kids this basis and this foundation. Well, I had provided them the foundation, but like, what was I demonstrating to them? So to present day, I'm still on a journey. We're working through, we've tried a couple places. We are working on what kind of fits our family, where we feel we belong in the church. But it's incredible to be able to like, I've got a pastor who is an F3 guy.
Right.
And I, when I'm ready, I feel like I want to have a conversation with him about, my struggles and where my relationship with Christ. And I'm never going to understand the why of, those three lives. And I'm not on a path to try to understand that because I know that's not for me to do. But, I'm working towards a better relationship and having, one of the reasons I love the Quarry was like you have somebody like Vlasic who you can, while he is Baptist in his, denomination there, he is so open to everything and has, provided so much information to me and like helped me kind of toggle through some stuff. But then you just have other guys that are, just so spirituality is so embedded and you just have to talk with them about it. It's incredible. And I do feel fortunate that like I get the opportunity to hear somebody pray. Because for me, it's, especially these last 4 years, like one of the most powerful things I think somebody can turn around and say is, I'm going to pray for you. Like, wow. I mean, that strikes pretty deep. But it's just, my faith is, and I was told in high school, actually, like you should struggle. there should be struggles with your faith.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess on this current time, I don't know my timeline. And that's kind of hard, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so real. And I think, and other guys we've had similar conversation with, that, you know, when you get to this point where maybe something has happened, or maybe it's the typical like college fall off, there isn't really like the pathway to then like re-enter that exploration phase is like, well, do I go to a church to do that? Which is kind of hard because they're kind of trying to sell me on their what they believe, as they should, right? I mean, I think that's, you know, that, but so then I can't really go there and feel like I'm getting like non-biased answers. And so then in F3, I think it gives us access to all these guys that are maybe in the same spot I'm in, or have been where I've been, or are in a different spot. But the conversation, like you said earlier, there are no expectations, right? So, so you can have the conversation and just be like, here's what I do. But there's not like a, you know, and you may get the invitation, hey, come join us. But there's no like penalty if you don't, you know, and so it just is this really cool space. And kudos to you for continuing to search. You know, that's the only thing that I've seen a few guys do. You know, don't stop searching, you know, don't stop trying to answer those tough questions. I think there's something out there bigger than us that wants a relationship, you know, and I think, and you don't have to have a timeline, you know, so you'll figure it out. So I appreciate you sharing that. I know that's hard because I think you're right about this idea that there's some guilt of like, I should have this all figured out, but I don't. And
well, it's just like, I'm a parent, like, and what example am I setting for my kids? And I, you know, and that's where I love the fact that you talk about faith on this podcast, because I can hear so many guys on this that, you know, like some have it figured out and they've got it. And that is incredible. And, but it's nice to know like, oh man, there's other people like me that are kind of in this similar boat. But then they get a chance to talk about how they're taking faith into their family life and their spiritual life and their journey with their family. And it's like, okay, like everything's not cut and paste.
Yeah.
And so like, and that's, again, I'm thankful for this platform that, you know, I get to hear other guys so that, cause that can plant seeds of growth for me.
Yeah. I think I'm on this never ending search for like the answer or the checklist, and I'm just continuing to be reminded by God and other people that like, there isn't one, you know? And so which is, you know, maybe I'll build one, but anyway, talk me through, you know, I think, as you're thinking about F3, right? So fitness, fellowship, and faith, and then really reinvigorating male community leadership. And I know you're in some leadership roles at work. Talk us through like that, getting the flag and what that meant to you. And maybe, I don't know if you have any advice for guys that are taking over flags now. It's kind of shovel pass season. So
I feel like we just came on a lot. You know, when Peg first asked, I kind of laughed and I was like, you're not serious, are you? And he was like, yeah. And I immediately, I said, yes. And I was like, wait, let me check with my wife real quick.
There you go.
Like I gotta check that box first. And goes again, went home. She's half awake. Hey, I got asked this question, like energetic. And the best answer, she's like, well, how's it different than what you already do? I was like, oh, it's not. And then I was like, but I do assume some responsibility and this and that. So, you know, and that's again, like Hazel Rocket was supposed to get the flag and then he injured himself. And so then I got the ability to step up with the notation to Hazel of like, hey, I want to give this back to you. It's rightfully yours. Like you should take it. And I did come in like after we had said it all, I was like, I had all these ideas in my head of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do things. Talked to Peg a little bit and he's just like, you know, you can try that or you can just kind of organically let things happen. Cause I tend to like to plan stuff out and do things. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
I could just kind of, why force like what the site should be? Why not let the people that attend here create kind of what is this site?
Yeah.
So I was excited. I didn't think I was ready to take over. Quickly found out like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not terrible. You guys have made PaxNet is probably the most amazing thing in this world. I kind of transitioned when the spreadsheet was going out and PaxNet was starting. So I got lucky. A real good, I consider myself extremely lucky. But I had, being in college, I was a kinesiology major. So I had taught exercise type classes since I was in college.
Oh, cool.
So leading an exercise was never a bad thing. And my VQ was actually at Catamount. Cool. Before Farva passed the flag, he, of course, had it set up in advance, very meticulous. Yeah. And so I got to do my VQ down there, which meant the world. But it was like, I wasn't nervous because I've done this hundreds of times. Yeah. I used to teach kickboxing. I used to teach strength. I've taught circuit type workouts. I know I can make up a workout in my sleep.
Nice.
But asking somebody to lead a workout at my site was actually what I feared the most.
Oh, interesting.
And it was kind of funny. I think after the second time I had queued, because I didn't have anybody, so I queued, and I was like, "This is I can do it in my sleep." Like Farva had pulled me aside, and he's like, "Next time I see your name on the queue, I'm going to kick you off." Like he's like, "You need to ask people." And I was like, "You're right." And I was like, "But I don't like. I feel like I'm burdening people." And he's like, "No." And and to his credit, like I asked a lot of people. I never heard no. I did get a couple no responses, but truly, like, again, this group is everybody wants to say yes. It's not that hard to do. Yeah. And so building up the schedule about 2 months in, once I realized that, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. It's okay to ask. And it forced me, being a site leader, to go to other sites that I maybe didn't normally go. Yeah. And kind of introduce myself and kind of get evolved into those sites. Yeah. And so, no, just the kind of way of this non-organized kind of leadership role, it plays in so nicely to be able to do that. So leading the site to me, was great. I felt a connection. I felt a deeper something for F3. And it was like, okay, this organization has given me way more than it will ever know. It's time for me to not be PAX number. I'm 1590. Okay. Nice. I can't be 1590 anymore. I have to be somebody else. Yeah. I have to be somebody that I've taken so much from this group, like more than people will ever know. Now it's time for me to start giving back. So, along the lines of shortly after I took the flag, well, actually, before I took the flag was the New Gen event, the fundraiser. And I heard Sparty talking about the scholarship and having mentors. So actually I reached out to Sparty and was like, hey, I'd love to mentor a kid. I work on a college campus. I mentor students and staff and faculty all the time. Like, I'd love to throw my name in the hat. Well, sure enough, he said, absolutely. And he's paired me up with a scholarship winner who coincidentally, I went to high school with the kid's parents. Oh, wow. But awesome. It's been a great role to be able to do kind of a leadership thing. Yeah. On that side of being a mentor. I was actually before this, I was texting him. He's a football player. So just checking in with him, seeing how start of the season's going and being able to do that. But I kind of got to be, it's like we've always talked about, you can go do an event all the time. I just have to be very careful with what I choose to do, because I coach. This will be, I picked these boys up when they were in 4th grade. So just after my brother passed, it was the team he coached with Farva. Okay. And they didn't have a coach. So they'll be in 8th grade now. So I've coached them with Farva every year. Wow. Since he passed. And so I do that. I coach my daughter's basketball team. I have to be very careful with what I do, because my wife is quick to also tell me, like, it's time to remember. Yeah. And she knows the word concentrica, and she's like, you're forgetting a big piece. And I was like, yeah, I am. Yeah. So I just, there's so many opportunities for leadership, and I it's incredible, but I also have to start being a little more diligent of like, what am I choosing to take on, and things like that.
It sounds like, but curious, do you feel like some of the stuff that you learned as a site Q, or maybe even through mentorship in F3, has that crossed over into your day-to-day leadership?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's allowed me to see things from different perspectives. I have about probably half of my employees are international, half of them are from the US. They're all sorts of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But just kind of hearing other leaders talk about ways they handle and do things with their teams and how they do that. I've been able to take a lot of the kind of principles there that we get in Free to Lead. And, as I was reading it, I was just like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Especially that whole top-down structure of, while that may be the way my organization is set up, that's not necessarily the way I have to run my specific area.
Yeah.
So kind of empowering the people that work for me to essentially, I do want them to grow and leave. Like, I want them to take other positions. So I've really been, kind of working on that, because, and I've heard you talk about it on the Whetstone, but it is kind of crazy. Like, I just get to step down and still attend, and just be Larry Legend. And it's like, I can't do that. I would love to do that at work. Right. So many days I would love to just step out of a meeting and be like, your turn. Yeah. Take a seat. I'll check in with you at our staff meeting next week. Right. But but it's given me a ton of tools.
Move back. I think the trick would be like, can you move back, but also like, don't give me a huge pay cut?
Yeah. Can I keep this side of it? But over here, I'll shave some things off the top and things like that. But no, it's been great. And like I said, to hear, it's so crazy, because, I do have meetings with lawyers, but it's very business generated, business oriented. Like, we have this, and I've dealt with lawyers on the personal side in all of my, from criminal lawyers to everything, with my brother's stuff. And then I get to hang out with Gator or Fine Print or all these other lawyers in F3 Switchfoot. And it's just like, hearing them talk about some stuff, sometimes I'm like, oh, I could use that. Yeah. So it's incredible to just get to hear, what these guys have to offer. And
it is just such a cool blend. And I think, to your point, it's every guy is bringing something different, and we have this chance to just learn from each other. And I have not found a better spot where, like, whether it's a work thing or a faith thing or something going on at home, or even if I do get really interested in, how do I fast for 4 days and control my macros, right? I can call Armando and he'll walk me through that. But, I think it's just like every guy is bringing something. And so I think the chance to give back is super cool.
Well, it's just like, name another area in your life where you can walk into a setting and you'll have, I don't know, just like somebody who works construction, somebody who works legal, somebody who's in the medical field, somebody who's a teacher, somebody who's, runs a small business, somebody who's part of corporate America, but they're all just there. Yeah. And it's like, so there's no rhyme, reason, like they're all just there. Yep. And you get to just take so much information in. Like, that's my research background, is I just take it all in. Yeah. I just want it.
That's really cool. I would be curious, I don't know, anything that maybe you didn't get to share, or, something that's on my mind is just, as you think about your brother and kind of, his legacy and your legacy. I mean, what are you passionate about, or as you head into sort of this next season, anything come up on that list?
Thank you for asking that, by the way. Yeah. I appreciate it. The thing that I like to say is this memorial run that has started, and Farva just blasted out, his every channel on Slack, the notification for it. And, it's just incredible that, somebody is that passionate of helping continue a legacy of two individuals. for this scholarship fund that we do raise money, and I don't want this to seem like a pitch, so please don't take it that way.
Yeah.
But I actually I get to select the winner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it means the world to me that the school lets me handle that, and then I get to meet the winner and inform them of, who donated to the scholarship, like who's in their corner, kind of backing them up. And I think the second winner that I got to select, he's, 8th grader, writes an essay about how his dad is alcoholic, has never been involved in his life. The reason he chose going to Gross High School was he had played sports, and it was the positive males that were coaching him and surrounding him, and how he wanted to grow up and be that way for a kid in his shoes.
Wow. It gives me chills, man. Just
it's like,
wow.
It's unreal to hear like that wisdom come out of a 13 or 14-year-old. And, the fact that a group like this puts forward money to do that. Like, so when I met him, obviously I shared with him and his mother what F3 Omaha is, what we do, and like how, that money, a good chunk of that money comes from the generosity of these individuals. And when he gets to be older,
let's get him out.
That is something, and each of these kids has their parents have my cell phone and my email. I'm like, I am always available to mentor, to step in, whatever the parents wish. I'm happy to discuss with them. I try to follow up with them, but that one, I just kind of said, like, you have all these people in your corner that are just rooting for you and looking for you to succeed. If you need something, this is my resources available to help. But it's also like, these people invest, they want to see you succeed. So you got to want to succeed yourself. And those are kind of talks I get to have with these kids of like, just the impact that just a couple idiots running at 5:30 in the morning, what we can come up with. It's truly incredible. If my brother were here, he'd be like, I'm not worthy of this. And I would agree 100%. And I would tell him that to his face. And I tell his wife that all the time of like, this dummy doesn't deserve this kind of stuff. But, it's just, it's really incredible to have an organization, where I get to play a little role in support and, talking about Nugent with the young man I mentor there, but also being able to share kind of with these high school kids, what the scholarship truly means to me and to, people around.
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's so cool. I love it. I love what you said. Just a few idiots out running around and look what the impact we can have.
And it's funny that a couple parents are like, oh, I like where they live in the city. They're like, are you guys here? And I'm like, yes. They're like, yeah, we see the vests and we see people.
We see you guys. So, I love it. Well, this has been awesome. And I think, I guess, when is that next Memorial?
September 4th. So this is actually will be on the day that the accident actually happened.
Okay. So it's the Thursday after Labor Day.
Yep. So the first Monday is the first, Labor Day, and the 4th is the run. So it's at Halleck Park at the Sandlot. And, you don't have to donate, just show up. It's a great time. There's a rock option as well. We tell some stories of my brother and my nephew, and people have been kind enough to share and open up about that. But, and then, love to see people. Very thankful for Squeaky, for 4 years ago, just doing this, tribute to him. I still have the COT he wrote. It's in my desk.
Wow. Yeah. Probably a hard one to, I just love the way you approach, clearly you're searching, right? You're trying to get better every day, and it's clear through your story. And I think with all the adversity you've been through, being able to be where you're at today, right? Still be optimistic, still be asking this question of how do I serve other people? Just, I love it. Appreciate you sharing your story, and I would just encourage guys, as you're listening, you got PaxNet, right? So find Legend's number here and reach out and just if you have questions or if you want to connect. Made that pretty easy, but do a little Namo.
Alrighty.
Wrap us up. Brandon Fleehardy, 39, The Plague.
Jeff Cobb is 30 or 41. Larry Legend.
And do we have a call sign?
There's a couple for 3 or Swish. Some people will shoot, just kind of whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.